Good morning, friends. So I'm doing this from the back room, which it's very cozy. It's like a little guest room in our Elephant HQ, and it's the last day of our staff retreat. So one of my editors, Toby, suggested I talk about the middle way, which is a notion in Buddhism. The Buddha talked a lot about the middle way. So between two extremes, there's a big, soft, beautiful middle. And that middle we see today being lost in American political discourse. The middle is where relationships happen. The middle is where, as Rumi said, you can meet in a field. Well, I'm forgetting I haven't had my coffee, but it's something about I'll meet you in the field with openness and something cool will happen, and it's beautiful. It's all over Instagram. Alrighty, so on that riveting note, I want to talk about what the middle way is from a Buddhist point of view. Thank you, Jelena. Yeah, so leave comments, questions, all you want. Normally, we try and get to 150 comments. Today, just say, yo, I'm from Anchorage, Alaska. Yo, I'm from wherever. Let's see where everybody is at. And if you do have comments, disagreements, you hate what I'm saying, or concerns or questions about the mindful life, I'll try and directly answer them and mention your name and where you're from. So it's sort of like a radio call-in show, only it's Facebook. So first of all, is the middle way 50%? No. If you think the middle way is sort of like compromising, it's not. So let's take an example. Is climate change real? The middle way from that point of view would be like, well, it might be real, it might not be real. For something like that, we'll just look at the science. It's the hottest year on record by far, so far. 99% of climatologists, scientists in that related field agree. So that's an example where you don't have to be like, you can have a snowball in the House of Representatives, so therefore climate change doesn't exist. So the middle way is not some sort of gray muddle between two different ideas. But at the same time, the middle way is about openness, and it is about not getting into extremes of aggression or fear or fantasy. That may or may not be all I have to say about it. All right. The other thing I want to talk about is what I titled this video, which is a sort of silly title. But last night I was biking home after a little dinner with a colleague, and I saw pairs of people walking around on their Pokemon Go, even at that late hour. It's pretty impressive how this thing is just really connected with people, and people are running around. Unfortunately, their heads are kind of down. They're not seeing a lot of where they are, but maybe they are, which is great. I just biked here from my home and nearly got run over by a lady not playing Pokemon Go, but on her phone. I was with my dog, and if I had kept going, I had the right of way, the walk signal, I would be dead right now, or at least really messed up. So if you're playing Pokemon Go, do it safely. Don't, try and look up and enjoy your life, and be really aware of your surroundings. So that's common sense. But Pokemon Go is you're kind of running around and you're collecting like little Pokemon. And I think from the same point of view, this is why I love, or from a similar or completely different point of view, this is why I love environmentalism. I first got into environmentalism when I was a kid, when I was like 13, living in Vermont at Carmichaeling, which is a Buddhist meditation center. Up until that point, I was more into baseball. I was more into maybe video games. I was kind of your average American kid, if there is such a thing. And then I ran into this book called 50 Simple Things You Can Do to Save the Planet. And as you know, children have this wonderful, what old people like me call idealism. But at the time, it doesn't feel like idealism. It just feels like you're seeing the world clearly. And I went through this book. I recommend any of you go find it. It's a fantastic book for children or for adults. It's kind of bite-sized chunks of things you can do that are fun. And that's the key thing that I think gets lost with a lot of environmentalism, that it's fun. And if it's not fun, don't do it. Be an environmental jerk. So find a way to enjoy it. So I turn off the light when I leave a room, not out of some sort of guilt or righteousness. I turn it off because that's a moment of mindfulness for me. It's a moment of slowing down. And that's why I said in the title of this video that the mindful life, if you play it like Pokemon Go, you can kind of almost play it like you're collecting little mindfulness points, except you're not adding up the points, you're not impressing anybody, you're not playing a game, you're actually just living life in a mindful way. So we all know and hopefully appreciate that quote about stopping to smell the roses. Well, mindfulness is like that for me. I'm busy, I'm caught up in my stories, what I have to do, my stress, my good and bad, my texting friends, whatever it is. But if I am inspired to remember to turn off the light switch, that's a moment of just touching in with life in 3 dimensions, the grounded, beautiful quality of life. And, you know, and then I'm connecting in a what do you call it? All things are interconnected. So there's the knot of eternity in Buddhism, which is similar to the Celtic symbol that symbolizes how all things are connected. And when I turn off that light switch, I'm turning off, I'm using a little less from the coal plant that's over here. And the coal plant, you know, all that coal's being mined and shipped in, and mining isn't super healthy, and the fossil fuel emissions are obviously causing you know, 1.5 degree increase worldwide Celsius, and coal causes, you know, is related to things like asthma, which I had as a kid. So I'm just sort of connecting with everything, and I don't need to do it in some sort of partisan way. I don't need to bow down to the shrine of Al Gore or anything. I can just do it because I would rather use less energy. My grandmother was the same way, and she wasn't even an environmentalist from that point of view. She just didn't want to use things that she didn't need to use. And if she did need to use something, she would do it with appreciation and joy and without any kind of guilt. So environmentalism can be like that. From that same point of view, plastic. I just biked here and I saw, you know, 2 friends or a mother-daughter, I'm not sure, but they were walking along with plastic to-go cups and on their phones while talking. And they seem to be having a good time. So this isn't sort of some moralistic thing, but it really is just, let's say they're mother, daughter, or good friends, just appreciate each other. It's, you know, like we learn in Groundhog Day or other wonderful, profound Dharma texts. Life is good stuff, and we can, you know, if we can connect, as we're doing right here, hopefully, with your comments, with your questions, with our dialogue, that's the best stuff in life. And especially if that connection can be based on fundamental human goodness, if it can be based on nurturing that and growing it like a little garden, and then we can eat it in our salad and enjoy it. So plastic is one of the all-time great Pokemon mindfulness things. So instead of getting an editor friend of mine asked me to talk about plastic and why I'm so not into it. So plastic is related, you know, plastic is made out of petroleum, but not only that, it has tons of added chemicals. So whether it's Lululemon and you're sweating in your plastic yoga stuff, we don't even realize most of the clothes we wear are plastic. It's not good for you. And it never goes away. It's not good for sea life. It's not good for, you know, those of us who eat fish. And we all know this, but typically it comes to us in the form of like bad news. The fish are dying. Birds are eating so much plastic, they're dying. And it's this sort of moralistic thing, when really you can delightfully say, I know, I'm going to enjoy this coffee, which was, you know, grown and roasted by people 3,000 miles away, and then maybe locally, and then I got it, and it's this amazing, so much work went into my morning coffee. I'm going to just sit down and enjoy the heck out of it. And we've all had those moments, you know. Maybe you could all describe in comments, if you're inspired, what was the best mindful moment of your last week? So usually those moments aren't like, they don't have the Rocky soundtrack. They aren't some dramatic thing. They're just simple. You're reading a book in a hammock. You're spending time with a loved one. You're spooning with your dog after a long day, you're taking a bath. These are really elemental things, and in Buddhism, the sense perceptions are not regarded, the sense perceptions like touch, taste, etc., smell, they're not regarded as a problem, they're regarded as a vehicle for waking up. And waking up in this context doesn't mean like coffee waking up, it means being completely present. So we'll do 2 minutes of meditation at the end of here. I got to put in my daily plug because Facebook is crushing Elephant right now, like a big ball of paper that they're then going to recycle responsibly. So if you want to keep Elephant in your life, get elephantjournal.com/newsletter. That's our online magazine. It's by far our best thing that we put together. So that's my daily plug. And then my other daily plug is just to find a couple little mindful environmental actions that you enjoy. As Michael Pollan said, if you're eating food that you've seen advertised, it's probably not that good for you. That's not some sort of anti-corporate, anti-consumerism, anti-capitalism thing. It means simply that it's much easier for these companies to make money off of food that's been processed or made into something and shipped and this and that. If it's just an apple, I mean, how often do you see ads for apples? Or broccoli? Or strawberries? I mean, sometimes I'm eating like fruit in the summer at farmer's market, like a peach or an apricot or I have a huge box of cherries that were seconds, so they're still good. You maybe cut off a little bit here and there. And it was $10. It's a huge box. It's more than I can eat, unfortunately, so I have to share it with friends, fortunately. And I've never seen cherries advertised, and I think cherries, I'm pretty sure, I'm just going to go for it, taste better than anything ever invented. I'm vegan, and cherries sort of feel like meat, except they're super sweet, like ice cream. So whether you're a meat lover or a dessert lover, cherries just are amazing. And you're supporting farmers, you're supporting these big organic farms if you get them organic at your farmer's market. So that's probably all I got to say. Toby, the editor, who's leaving comments, did ask me to say something about the middle way in diets. So that's a great point. So my parents' Buddhist teacher, Trungpa Rinpoche, and I recommend all of his books, particularly Training the Mind or Shambhala. They're really great and accessible and not dumb, but just accessible. But he was asked by some of his hippie students in the 70s, they said, well, what kind of diet is the most mindful or Buddhist? And he said, forget about it. Just eat your food. When you eat your food, be present. Don't eat your preconceptions. I hear my dog making crazy noises. Hey, can you just put him outside? He's wet. My dog has been in the creek twice today, so he's very wet and he's not ready for the HQ, the office. He's a stinky dog, but it's nice to get him in the creek so that he doesn't overheat, because he wears a fur outfit all summer. He's crazy like that. He's fashion obsessed. So I'm vegan. Lots of people are paleo. Lots of people are this and that. Lots of people just eat whatever they like. Lots of people like fast food. Lots of people like fancy rich people food. Lots of people like farmers markets. There's all kinds of different diets. Lots of people just like are dieting constantly. So on a very fundamental level, I think Michael Pollan kind of got it right. I interviewed him. You could watch that interview on youtube.com/elephantjournal. Basically, you just eat good, real, simple food. And I think that's a good middle way between all these sort of diet choices, all these sort of philosophies, all these, I'm vegan, but vegans online are often some of the most aggressive people you've ever not met. And a lot of vegans are loving and wonderful and empathetic too, so I can't generalize, and I don't want to. I'm vegan for a reason, but we don't need to be aggressive or self-righteous about our dietary choices or make a religion out of them. At the same time, it is heartbreaking, and there is a reason I am vegan. I watched this video on some vegan Instagram channel yesterday about a calf running around being happy and talking to people, and then it went into its story. This calf was just left for dead, basically starved without water, and its mom was going to the slaughterhouse, and then the mom was adopted by the sanctuary, and the calf was adopted with it, and it got an IV like in the hospital because it was so starving and kind of abused and hadn't had water for 3 days. And this kind of stuff is very common when you start treating sentient beings like products, because you need to cut corners. You need to make as much money as you can and get them as fat or as big as you can, as quickly as you can. It's not really about treating them like sentient beings. So I basically, for myself, and it's none of my business whether you guys are vegan or what, but I made the decision when I was, I guess, like 9 years ago now, that I was fully grown, that I was healthy, that I was active, that I didn't need to eat meat for pleasure. That said, the middle way comes in here, that I do try to eat healthfully. I do try to support farmers and organic. A lot of vegans are not very environmental or organic. A lot of vegans maybe drive cars all over the place. I really see veganism as part of a mindful life well lived, not the only aspect. You know, if you're eating palm oil, or using palm oil, which is in our shampoos and everything. We have a blog on palm oil. Maybe Toby could leave that in comments. There's Marshall, that's a charming comment. That's probably the least charming comment I've ever received on these Facebook live videos. We do this for free for you, and if you want to just comment on superficial stuff, there's a lot more there. I am so far from camera ready. It is unbelievable. I'm doing this for you, and frankly, I think you're going to get blocked from this page because that's just not interesting or constructive. All right, back to the middle way. Now that I've laid down the law on Marshall, we like constructive comments on the internets. Too much gum slapping, Jesus. I think you should be saying instead that it's impressive I can say a single sentence without having had coffee. All right, where was I? So, the mindful life, we call it that because basically we're trying to do good. Oh yeah, Jelena, I don't mind. Yeah, I mean, that brings me to an interesting thing. If you do have negative people, like I was just reading about how all these Twitter idiots were just sending pornography and hate and racist stuff at this lady who's a star of Ghostbusters until she basically cried and left. And she's a tough, funny lady, but she just was like heartbroken and left Twitter. People need to have room for frankness and honesty and criticism. And Marshall, I more than welcome any kind of criticism that's got some thoughtfulness or intelligence in it. More than welcome it. I need it. And it's helped me grow up, whether it's my best friends criticizing me, my mom, my readers. I have been criticized every day for the last 14 years, and hopefully it's made me a softer, better person. Like Pema Chodron says, when the world is going at you, hopefully that can make you softer, not harder. But at the same time, we have to treat people online as if they're real human beings, and treat them with appreciation, treat them with basic respect. And that's why you're probably not going to be on Elephant anymore. But you can get our newsletter, Marshall. No one can stop you. elephantjournal.com/newsletter. All right, this went off the rails, and I need some coffee. Mwah. Love to all of you. Our videos are on elephantjournal.com. On the homepage, there's a section called Walk the Talk Show. I always try and be open, frank, human, wildly imperfect, and slap my gums around. So please join me Monday through Friday at 11 MST, only if so inspired. Oh, we got to do 2 minutes of meditation. Yes. All right. So here's meditation instruction. This is from the Buddhist tradition, shamatha. It's about being grounded. It's about being available to your world. So take a deep breath. Good posture, but relax it. And then breathe in and breathe out, touching with your breath in and out. Let's all do this together. No need to comment or anything. Just breathe in, breathe out. Oh, and then I'll go through your comments. So much to do. All right. Breathe in and breathe out. Good posture, eyes open, not blocking out the world. You can feel yourself relaxing. If you've been rushing around, just relax into your breath, in and out. If you find yourself thinking about something, label that thinking. Oh, I'm thinking, no big deal. And return your attention to your breath in and out. Let's try that 5 times. Okay. Hopefully that was helpful. You can do that on your own, and first thing in the morning and last thing at night are the 2 best times if you're only going to do a little. All right, now I'm going to go through all your comments. Jelena, thank you for loving my hat. We sold out. This was featured on the Bernie Sanders Facebook page. The Clinton campaign also asked for it, but they thought probably it was too controversial or something. Kindness is controversial. All right. People from Texas, people from Jamestown, New York, people from Des Moines, and Felon, I don't know how to say that, California, Kathy. Yeah, Make America Humane Again. Make America Humane Again. Yeah, we're working on some other hats like Make Obama President Again and Make a Clinton President Again. We can't do a Bernie hat because he lost. And then we want to do lots of other silly ones like Make America Stop Walking and Texting while stop walking or driving while texting again. All right, Toby's in comments. Thank you. She travels the whole world and she's here for our staff retreat right now. Jen is from Greensboro, DeKalb, Illinois. Ashley, I have no idea, not having played it, but I think the basic point I was trying to make is that instead of running around in Pokemon Go, or in addition to collecting points and bonuses and prizes, you could actually treat mindfulness or environmentalism like that, kind of make it fun. There's nothing wrong with mindfulness being fun. Joe in Netherlands. Netherlands just went through a big forest fire. I'm glad most people up there are okay. Walla is from the Middle East. Yeah, we don't want to spread lies and fear about you and your friends from all over the world. I really love your comment. If anyone feels like liking his comment, I'm going to like it right now. And we've done lots of articles on that. Most of us, the vast majority of us, are kind human beings who are just trying our best. And of course, the media, and particularly some politicians, want to kind of spread fear and hate for their own ends. Good luck to them. All right, Patricia from Northern California. Holy Romania, Lorena. This is amazing. Folks in Galicia's Scottish borders. I asked for it. I can't say half these places. Marie in Chicago. Pokemon Go. Hey, Stephanie, you should write an article about playing Pokemon Go mindfully. I would feature that on our homepage. ElephantJournal.com. Every single page has a write button. All of you should write something. You don't have to be a writer. Just share your experience, something helpful, something genuinely confusing that you want to connect with other people on, something fun, whatever you want. All right. It brought you much closer to nature. I'd love to hear more about that. I watched a hornet's nest buzz for minutes and minutes before I kept walking on my way. Stephanie, yeah, nature is so relaxing. It's actually remarkably fun. Corty, what was the book for kids? Oh, I mentioned it's 50. I did a blog on it. Toby, if you can search 50 simple things you can do for your planet, it's on Elephant Journal. All right. Yeah, it's an awesome book. It's also great for adults. I mean, honestly, it's great for everybody, Republican, Democrat, old, young, who may not care about the environment, because it's not really about being like a self-righteous hippie environmentalist. It's just fun and useful, idealistic kind of project stuff. All right, love a good cherry. Marshall, my favorite comment. I'll give you a like. That'll be the last like you ever get. Fernando, what happens when you get so much negative energy and you try to be positive? Well, again, there's a lot of positive and negative. So negative comments can inspire you. Negative things in your life can have silver linings. Often, you know, in Buddhism they say when you're walking, when you're rushing along, you're all self-important, you're late for something, and you get your finger stuck in a door, that door is acting like mindfulness. It's basically saying, slow down. You're not being present with the phenomenal world. You're not. That's the reason why you stuck your finger in that door, because you're just kind of going through life with your mind instead of just being present. Marshall clearly doesn't eat cherries, from James. Love to Marshall. I feel bad. He was just trying to make fun of me. I'm very easy to make fun of. Adrian, love your hat. You so funny. Constructive criticism is growth support. Amen. Constructive criticism is super underrated, and that's a great thing about the middle way is don't just look for likes and positive people and this and that. Look for honest, frank people who actually care about you. And the same thing goes for comments online. And the same thing goes for the media you read. You should read media that you don't always necessarily know about or agree about. I like the New Yorker about that because it writes about probably 75% of the stuff in the New Yorker I have no idea about and I don't care about, but I read it because they have great writing and then I learn something. Amanda, I hear you. That being said, we ranch beef cattle organically, sustainably, with loving kindness on a small scale, trying to create food for all in a responsible and thoughtful fashion. If everyone was like you, Amanda, you should watch my interview with Michael Pollan, because I say to him, why did you not tell everyone to be vegetarian or vegan? And he's a super mindful food person, and he answered me. So you can watch that. So if 100% of the time you're eating sustainable, organic meat from, when you eat meat, you're eating, mindfully produced meat from a good source, you are not part of the problem. You are making a choice that I disagree with, but what I think doesn't really run the whole world. You are still being a responsible human being who's just making a choice I disagree with. But that's fantastic. Factory farms, I always love to say, should be the common enemy. Factory farms, whether you're vegan or you're a meat eater, we should all hate factory farms. Who is the guy in the pic behind me? That's Trungpa Rinpoche, my parents' Buddhist teacher. Naropa University gave that to us when we got our new office. And he's looking over my shoulder, judging me. All right, Cat. Need advice in calming teens down. Carolyn, I don't have teens, but I would say I was a teen and I was crazy full of energy. I definitely didn't need coffee when I was a teen. So I'd say the number one thing is get them out into nature. And if it's Pokemon Go, or if it's team sports, or if it's going for a hike or climbing, teens love climbing. Climbing is goal-oriented, problem-solving oriented, and you look super buff and beautiful after doing it. So what's not to love? You can meet girls, you can meet boys, whatever you know. So just get them tired. It's kind of like the dog whisperer, who I love. The dog whisperer gets a bad rap from some animal trainers, but I love him. I don't find him aggressive at all, and I find he really talks about just tire him out first, and then you can train him, then you can talk to him, then you can have them in your house without everything going to hell. So get teens tired, and then they can relax. And Ashley Hitchcock, one of our editors out here, she has teens, and now she knows what she's talking about. And she is a big proponent, like many people. I think we have articles on this, Toby, maybe. We have many articles on teens on Elephant, so maybe you could find a couple mindful teen articles. But Ashley is a big proponent of letting teens sleep in. I think biologically they need to sleep later than the school system generally allows them to. Carolyn, as Trungpa Rinpoche behind me would say, jolly good luck. Northern Wisconsin, awesome. You have a great day too. Vegan on. Kat Stewart, how do you approach a negative person and help turn them positive? Well, Kat, that's my favorite quote from Lincoln. He says, we only win when we make our enemies our friends. Something like that. That's also on Elephant. Toby, maybe you could leave that in comments. Yeah, I mean, if someone's not being constructive, kind of like when a teen is full of energy, maybe that's not the best time to try and convert them into a friend. But if someone's just kind of going after you, but they're kind of present, they're giving you eye contact, they're being human beings, try and have a tough talk and try and get through it and try and be honest instead of treating them like trying to just be nice to them and get away from them, or trying to be mean to them and talk about them meanly. There's a wonderful quote by this guy, Chugam Trungpa, right here. He says, self-deception and deception generally is our number one enemy. Our ego is always trying to deceive everybody and strategize their way through business or through love or through life. And, you know, I wrote a book about this, Things I Would Like to Do With You, that is about love without strategy, love that is just open, love that is open about confusion, love that isn't trying to kind of play anyone, isn't trying to play games. That book we can also leave in comments. If you're interested, it is eco and it is plastic free, which is incredibly rare. All right, Sonia, people today are so confused. Person they want to project on social media and the real person they are. Yeah, there's a great quote about that. It says, we see other people's highlight reels on social media and but we judge ourselves by our own behind the scenes. I love that. So yeah, you can just be gentle with yourself and try, and maybe a mindful practice is put up an imperfect photo of yourself once in a while, instead of kind of like the perfect angle. We're always like trying to be idealized pictures of ourselves on social media, and then we blame media for doing the same thing. Oh, Jelena, thank you for your kind comment. Wendy, do we need to hate anything? We do hate lots of things. I don't know that we need to kind of buy into that. It's okay to hate stuff. It's okay to fear stuff. It's okay to love stuff. We have all kinds of reactions. In Buddhism, they say, if you lose your mind, come back. So it doesn't say never lose your mind, be perfect. If you lose your mind, if you hate something, then you can come back to basic human goodness. So I got mad at Marshall. Now Marshall and I are going to be best friends, and we're going to dance through the meadow and skip and recite poetry to each other. All right. Jenny, going to hang with my youth creative yoga leaders now. Hey, you bet. Have fun. Tammy. Yeah, I don't think sugarcoating it is what we're recommending. I think being frank, being human, but also being gentle with yourself and others and giving yourself and others a second chance. Maybe I'm being told to shut up. My staff is bored of my blabbing. Yeah, swimming. I used to swim every day. Adrian, great suggestion. I love how you're suggesting stuff to each other and being helpful. I used to swim every day all summer, and I'd be exhausted like a little fish. Youth and mindfulness. I highly recommend, if any of you can, get your youth ages 10 to 16 to Shambhala's son's summer camp. There's 3 of them, I think. One in France, one in Halifax, Canada, Tatamagouche, and one in Colorado. Those are amazing. You can't really force mindfulness on children. You can't force anyone to meditate, but you can put them in a container of mindfulness and discipline and joy and boredom in a positive way, and see them flower in kindness. Adrian, amen. But also, parents have to be kind to themselves when they mess up, right? All right, Jennifer, I have a constant feeling in my heart that I'm not living the life I am supposed to be. You and me both. I just don't know where to start. I'm lost because I don't know what exactly I'm looking for. Should I just continue to meditate and listen? I mean, so Jennifer, we just talked about that in a prior video. It's called right livelihood. It's the Buddhist notion of doing what you love, doing what you're good at that you love, doing what you're good at that you love, that you can make money make a living doing. So we have at least 2 videos on right livelihood, and maybe Toby could leave one of those here from youtube.com/elephantjournal. Just subscribe and you'll get a lot of mindfulness tips for everyday life and my interviews with people much wiser and smarter than myself. Ashley left a nice comment about teens and mindfulness. And my dog is inside again, making lots of noise. Can we put him outside? Let's see if that works. Can someone put Redford outside? Hashtag Redford Lewis on Instagram. Alrighty. Jessica. Meditation is a key to many things. The answers are already inside of you. Once you listen, you will know when it is time, what you need to do. But you must learn to trust yourself and your natural instinct and intuition. Yeah, Peggy Markell, wonderful slow food chef. It's getting kind of loud in the kitchen, guys. talked about how to recognize intuition yesterday. Loud. No respect for my international address. What do you think of when someone has left an emotionally abusive relationship and you still miss that person stuck in it? Totally understandable. First of all, Maitri. Hopefully Toby is done telling Ashley to shh and can leave the Maitri blog in the comments. So first of all, we love that person. That person has a lot of goodness in them. And then they also might be abusive and have negative habitual tendencies. We all have negative habitual tendencies, but abuse is one that you don't necessarily want to tolerate. Kind of like Maya Angelou said, when someone shows them their true self or their aggression, you got to believe that. So we have great blogs on leaving abusive relationships. Emotional abuse is a very vague term. It's not that it's not a real thing, but often we'll say someone is emotionally abusive when they're just mad at us or angry at us. We have to be clear that emotional abuse is a very, very serious thing. It's not a term like depression. It's not necessarily a term to throw around casually. So if it's truly emotionally abusive, yeah, you want to be out and just be kind to yourself. If they're just a jerk sometimes, we're all jerks sometimes. And forgiveness and patience and meditating together and meditating at a local Shambhala center or some community together, you can walk a path of kindness and waking up. We're all far from perfect. But if it's genuinely abusive, you gotta just be kind to yourself and move on. And you can still honor your love in them. Pema Children, who I recommend her books, has a wonderful thing about that. She says, that feeling of love that you have for that person who may or may not have been emotionally abusive, she doesn't talk about emotional abuse in this quote, but she says that feeling of love you have or broken heart you have for someone, if you're missing them, that feeling is itself your basic human goodness, your broken-hearted bodhicitta, your seed of awakening, your seed of Buddha. Your little Buddha is sprouting up. And so we don't need to get away from broken heart. I wrote a blog about that notion called The Buddhist Notion of Loneliness is a Good Thing. It's one of my favorite blogs on Elephant Journal. So you can read that in the comments if you feel like it. Oh, and Sun Camp is in the comments. Thank you, Toby. Alrighty. Thank you so much. That was a long one, and I got feisty. That's what happens when I don't have coffee. Off to coffee.